In the early hours of June 2004, a man was walking through the halls of his house when he heard what he thought was the sound of a gunshot. He was unsure because he didn't live in a high-crime area and had never heard a gunshot before. He lived alone in a one-story ranch-style home in South Padre Island, Texas, with his 2 dogs. He said it was small with a pearl handle and looked antique. David took the gun to the bathroom sink to inspect it further, and that's when he heard footsteps in the hallway. David asked them if he should be worried about lead poisoning or anything like that, but they told him that he would be okay. He was then taken to the hospital for observation and given back to his parents after they identified him. A resident from a neighboring island contacted them and said she had seen a boy matching Cody's description playing on the beach. She also said that she had spoken to a woman who was looking for her lost son. Cody was too young to have walked across the water by himself, so how did he get there? They sent a helicopter to search the area and discovered a blanket and some diapers. The blanket matched the ones that the family used, and the diapers were for children. The tide came in and the wood floated all the way to the island. How long had Cody been left in the marsh? Why did his parents abandon him? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. And what happened to his parents after they left him behind? Unfortunately, we may never know the answers to these questions. But what we do know is that Cody was eventually adopted by a loving family and grew up to be a healthy and happy child. Cody remained on the wood until someone eventually found him and took him off. That person was David. He had no idea that there was a child on the wood until he pulled it ashore and saw him sitting on top of it. David was initially scared when he found Cody, but after realizing that he was just a lost child, he tried to help him. This confirmed that the child had been abandoned in the marsh and someone had returned to pick him up. But who? When the police asked him what had happened, he told them that he had played in the marsh, swam in the water and walked to the island on his own. Cody's parents had been camping out in their van in the marsh for several weeks while they were evicted from their home. They had gone to the beach so that Cody could play in the sand and then return to the marsh. When they realized that they couldn't take care of him anymore, they placed him on the blanket and left him there. They believed that someone would find him and take care of him. Then they abandoned the house. But he couldn't remember how he had gotten there or how he got home. His mother said that he was an inquisitive child and had been known to wander off before, but never for more than a few minutes. They had no idea how he could have gotten all the way to the island, which is 2 miles away, without anyone knowing. This new lead brought the police to a trailer park where they knocked on doors and interviewed everyone who lived there. Eventually, they tracked down the boy's mother, Margaret. She told them that Cody had gone missing earlier that week and they had no idea where he could be. She was very distraught and said that she would recognize his red shoes anywhere. And then the police made a shocking discovery. As for David, he suffered from anxiety for several days after the incident and struggled to sleep. Upon further investigation, they found footprints that led away from the beach and followed them to a marsh. The footprints eventually disappeared, but the police managed to track Cody down thanks to those footprints and a pair of binoculars. They found him hiding in a ball in the middle of an island. He was wearing only his underwear and covered in bug bites. He was then taken to the hospital where he was treated and reunited with his mother. That's when he panicked. The sound of footsteps was getting closer, and he didn't know if whoever was outside was armed and dangerous. They also checked hospitals and other places nearby to see if the boy had been dropped off anywhere, but nobody had seen him. A few days later, the media became involved and the story spread throughout Texas. Everyone was trying to figure out how a 3-year-old could have gotten into the home and why he had a gun. There were even conspiracy theories suggesting that it was the work of the cartel. David grabbed the gun and ran into the kitchen, and that's when he came face to face with a little boy holding the same gun. It was the same gun that was on the counter. At around 1 a.m., he was awoken by what sounded like a gunshot. Although he wasn't entirely sure what it was, he decided to investigate. David walked out of his bedroom and into the hallway and heard the noise again. He described it as someone walking on his roof or a car backfiring. David continued investigating and went into the living room where he saw nothing unusual. He returned to his bedroom to find his window open and his curtains were on the floor. The dogs were also missing. He then noticed his screen door was ajar, which led him to the kitchen. It was there that he found the revolver on the counter. But then he heard it again and knew that someone was in his home. The man found a revolver on his nightstand that was not his and a struggle ensued. He couldn't believe that there was a child in his house with a gun. David set the gun down and slowly backed away from the child, hoping to get past him. But then the boy stepped forward and raised the gun. David immediately called 911 and stayed on the line as the operator dispatched police and paramedics. He tried to keep calm and speak to the boy. The child asked David if he wanted to see something cool and cocked the gun. David told him no, and the boy put the gun down. He sat on the floor and began to cry. David approached him and knelt down next to him and asked him what his name was and how he got there. The boy told him it was Cody and that he had come to play. He also told David that he was supposed to be picked up soon. In a panic, the homeowner grabbed the gun and ran into the kitchen, where he came face to face with a 3-year-old boy holding his father's gun. And this was just the beginning of the mystery. It all started in June 2004 when a man named David went to bed at around 11 p.m. David had no idea who left the gun there because he did not own one. The little boy was holding the gun like an adult and looked at David with complete seriousness. David froze, stunned by what he was seeing. Paramedics arrived first and they checked the boy over. They were surprised to see that he was uninjured. When the police arrived, they searched the home but found nothing else out of the ordinary. After searching for answers for several weeks, the police finally got a break. They went to the beach where the woman had seen Cody playing and found his shoes in the sand. But that still didn't explain how he got into the house. That's when the police got another call. A woman reported that she had found something suspicious in the marsh. As the investigation continued, the police were able to piece together exactly what had happened. Meanwhile, Cody had wandered off and climbed onto a piece of driftwood in the marsh. Although the story had a happy ending, there were many questions left unanswered. Now you know what happened to the kid who was found on the island, but what do you think happened to David? Let us know in the comments.